still go ahead and sign the listing agreement and you would just put in a waiver?
Sure. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And the MLS doesn't like, say
Well,
that you
it's
can only do
there's
it
a
for-
term, right? So right here, you'd have a beginning and an end.
Yeah,
And it's a waiver, you've got the waiver signed, but the listing will end on that date. You'd have to extend your listing.
okay.
So it's still subject to the dates
You
you're.
can do like 6 months,
Oh, yeah.
1 year. Oh.
You can write a year-long listing and do an MLS waiver for the term, for the entire term, and then you can withdraw the MLS waiver when they found a home they want to buy. So then the next item says, either party may end the listing contract with blank calendar days advance written notice to the other. The standard in the industry is 30 days. I don't like it. So if I want to give notice to somebody, because I've been in that position, I've wanted to fire a client, and I have to give 30 days notice. I had to do that once, and the guy wouldn't let me out. He said, nope, you're working 30 days. Okay? It wasn't my client, it was an agent's client, and I got the problem to deal with this wonderful person. And so I couldn't get out. Contractually, I am obligated to continue working as their listing agent for 30 days. So personally, I write my listings to say 5 days. 5 days, 7 days, you know, whatever. Just, you want to cancel, or I want to cancel, out of here. The next PUCA says, however, neither party may end this listing agreement, where, let me find my place. Neither party may end this listing contract before date unless seller and brokerage firm agree in writing to an earlier date. In other words, it has to be mutually agreed in writing. And here people tend to put 60 or 90 days. The theory being, it's the first 3 months that I want to make sure you can't just fire me, right? So you and I are going to have to agree. And the beauty of that is, if you talk about it, it lets your client understand what the purpose of this is. So here's a little script that works for me. So I say to people, so my goal in working with the seller is, you know the Yelp star system and there's 5 stars? Well, I have a Yelp account and I would like you to rate me with 5 stars when we're done. And I know that sounds really presumptuous of me, but I know that the service I provide, you're going to be really happy. So in order for me to make sure that you are happy, I need your help. If at any time you feel not happy, not satisfied, something's bothering you, you feel you can't give me 5 stars, would you promise to let me know? Sure. Okay, I get that. I promise you I have thick skin. I can take it. I can hear whatever you have to say because I want to be better. I want to make sure that you're satisfied with my services. So for that reason, I want to have a chance to fix whatever might be concerning you. Given that, you're going to be so satisfied with my services, all I'm saying here is give me 60 days to make sure I can get this listing up and running, and you know, I spend most of my effort up front about it and spend money marketing it up front. Give me 60 days, and then with the other termination clause applies. So for the first 60 days, it has to be mutual agreement, and after that, you want out of the listing, I fully understand. And then I'm going to have to fix whatever is ailing you in 5 days, right? So also, please understand that if you choose to take your listing off the market and you've decided not to sell anymore, I'm not going to stand in your way. I'm not going to not agree to cancel the listing. That's not my intent here, right? I want you to feel safe that if you legitimately want to cancel, we're going to talk about it. Does that make sense? Right? So now you've had a conversation with the person and made them feel a little more at ease. All right, item A5, items included or excluded, is in Exhibit A. This is the only place where Exhibit A is mentioned, and that is why under additional terms we actually say that Exhibit A is made a part of. Did you say that? Yes, under A11, data input form is made a part of this contract. And then we have list price. List price, this is a whole CMA conversation that we'll have on Friday as to how to come up with your list price recommendation and how to present that. I do not recommend prices. I recommend price ranges. I tell them this is on the low end, this is where you could list this property and probably sell it really fast, and this is as high as you should go. This is pushing the envelope here. And then people go, yeah, but I want to list it over here, right? So how do you present that? A challenge. That's our challenge. All right, then compensation to the brokerage firm, and I charge 6% of the sales price plus the general excise tax on the commission. Oh, general excise tax on the commission? Yeah, just on the commission, just because, you know, that's the tax that I have to pay, is just a pass through. Oh, okay. And 6%, is that your normal fee? Yep, that is what I charge, and I tell you, you're going to be very happy with my services and the results we're going to get. So in order for me to run my business, that's what I charge. Now, you just bought a house from me 3 months ago, and now you want to sell this investment property, and you say, well, Marion, we just did a deal with you. Will you give me a discount? I said, yes, absolutely I will. I'll absolutely take off 0.5%, so I'll take it to 5.5. Now, people don't do that. People go straight to 5. Don't do that. You wouldn't believe how many people go, oh, I just got a 10% discount. That's really cool, right? No, and they accept it. They don't ask me, but if they did, I still have another 0.5% to go and say, oh, okay, for you, I'll go down to 5, and I'll list it for 2.5% to the buyer's agent, and I'll take 2.5%. Okay, great. I'm happy to do that. Now, when you discount your commission, you're allowed to discount to 5%. You are not allowed to discount beyond that without a broker's permission, okay? And that's great, because now you get to say, you know what, I'm not allowed to discount any further. I would have to get my broker's permission on that. And now your broker is going to help you with words to go, not really, right? Or here's what we consider. The second thing is, the higher the price on things, you'll see the more the commission gets lower, right? Because, I mean, 3% on $3 million is a lot different than 3% on $300,000. So in terms of what we get paid, you know, there's some room there. And that's why there's more like 2.5% the higher you get, or even 2% commissions that are offered to buyer's agents on higher listings. Keep in mind that you don't have to split the commission evenly, but we'll get there. All right, so what does the commission cover? The brokerage and seller's cooperating broker or other person procures the buyer. This is where all the buyers can come from, right? So I'm in A7, number A. Number B says the brokerage firm procures a buyer, willing and able to pay the list price and meet the other terms, and the seller refuses to sign the purchase contract. They owe us a commission. C, the brokerage firm procures, I can't say that word, a ready, willing, and able buyer who meets the price and terms, and seller executes a purchase contract with the buyer and seller, and the seller subsequently defaults under the terms of the purchase contract. Does that happen? Yes. Sellers will go all the way, and then they don't like something, and something bothers them, or maybe Auntie came along finally and said, I'll offer you more. Oh my God, you're going to offer me more? And they suddenly decide not to sign the deed. They're not going to transfer the property. They are in default. They're going to take their chances that the buyer sues them, because the buyer can sue for performance, right? Not very many buyers are going to do that. You got to hire a lawyer. You got to go to court. It's a big deal, right? So chances are the seller is going to get away with it. They return the deposit to the buyer. They might even pay a little penalty and say, sure, I'll give you $2,500 extra for your, you know, because I know you brought your container over and it's arriving and you don't have a house to move into, you know. Oh, yeah.
I know the family is homeless now.
Oh, yeah, stuff happens. I know an agent who had a couple living on her couch for about 30 days.
Oh.
Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. Don't ever take somebody in, okay? No matter what, Put them somewhere else. Don't take people in. So that was a big mess. Well, we become friends with our clients, right? We care about them, and then stuff happens, so don't go there.
And now you have to sue the seller though to get your commission from this? Is that typically how that works
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, the seller, right? The seller has not taken any money for not selling their house. There is no commission to collect anywhere. So, yeah, you'd have to go after the seller. So I've never seen that succeed. I have seen it where the seller was willing to pay something to a buyer because they really put the buyer out. Seller withdraws the property from sale before the end of the listing contract. Well, as I said in my little spiel, it's okay with me. You want to withdraw the listing, I'm not going to stand in your way. But technically, it's a contract for a term, right? Seller enters into an option agreement. So if there's an option that's presented on the property, right? Somebody wants to rent it for a year and then buy an option to choose to buy it a year from now. Half of the commission gets, half of the option money is used for commission.
That's standard. Can you
Standards,
change that?
right? Yep, standards, right here.
Can you give me a for instance? So
Yeah.
Number-wise, yeah.
Sure. So option money might be $50,000 on a $600,000 home. And the buyer pays option, pays $50,000, that gets paid out to the seller. And in that payout, through escrow, in that payout, $25,000 goes to the agents. If that covers more than their commissions, then no, it can't be more than their commission.
Gotcha.
But on a 6% commission on us, that's $36,000 on a $600,000 house, right? It won't cover it all. But half of the, so the seller is only gonna get $25,000. So you have to keep that in mind because you don't have to worry about this. We don't do a lot of options here. I've never seen an option go through, but should one come your way, keep that in mind that, wait a minute, there's something about the commission here I gotta remember. What was that? Call your broker.
And that can't be changed. That's how it is. That commission
Everything
payout.
can be changed, but you've got a listing agreement signed, so they'd have to get the brokerage to agree to a change. Yeah. And believe me, by the time you're doing an option, you want to get paid because, you know, you've worked a long time and it hasn't sold and now you got an option going. Yeah. Okay. If any defaulting buyer's deposits are forfeited, like in other words, the buyer defaulted and the earnest money deposit is retained by the seller, half of the earnest money deposit goes to the agent's commissions. Right? I worked this deal, I've been listing your property for 3 months, we accepted an offer, we worked through the escrow, the buyer is suddenly in default and went bye-bye, but there's $20,000 in escrow. $10,000 will go to the agents and you're gonna split, so 5 would go to me and 5 would go to the buyer's agent. If the commission was even. Gets messy, but anyway. That doesn't happen very often either. Buyers' deposits don't often get left and to the seller. Doesn't happen very often, so not to worry about it. So do I go through all of this with the seller? No. I go through the first couple. Don't default. If you want to take your house off the market, decide that before we accept an offer, right? Like when you get an offer and you get cold feet, that's the time to say, no, we're not selling and take it off the market, not after you sign, right? So that's really all I go over. I don't go over the rest of this. I just have to be aware of it. And here's the protection period. You'll notice that our protection period is filled out for 180 days. That's pretty normal. I personally think that's too long, so I make mine 120. You are free to do that. Up to you. The next one is compensation to cooperating brokerage firm, and you'll notice that because we have ours filled out for the compensation at 6%, that A9 is filled out at 3%. So I just did a listing at Kihei Resort, and that listing I first listed in 2015, and it was my first sale. All buyers become sellers. It's my first sale in 2001. to this very nice woman. And then we listed it in 2015 and she died. And now I had to take it off the market. And I worked with the daughter who lived in Austria, because the seller lived in Austria. And so it took 2 years for probate to work through Austrian court and then work its way to Hawaii and get all settled. And then the daughter was so exhausted from doing all this, she took a break and we had a tenant in there. I helped her put a tenant in and stuff like that. I was not a property manager. I just helped her find a tenant and I handed it over to a property manager. And she finally decided to sell. So I listed it at 2.5% to the buyer's agent, and I kept 3.5%. Do you see where I'm going? It does not have to be 50-50. It is totally up to you. I spent years on this listing. I also staged it. I mean, you name it, right? So just so you're aware, there is no obligation to make this 50-50. And the other party will never know.
Right.
Right? The buyer's agent will never know. The buyer's agent gets offered 2.5%. They don't know that you're getting 3.5%. All right, additional terms, we have written in here that the general excise tax as referenced in A7 is calculated at 4.166%. And people go, what? GET is only 4%. So do you understand why it's calculated at 4.166? Here, $100,000 and there's a 5% commission would make it $105,000, would make it $5,000 commission. The $5,000 commission now has a 4% GET, right? So you take $5,000 times 4% is $200. Does that make sense? Right. So now what am I going to charge? $5,200? No, if you take $5,200 and do 4%, it's not quite right. You need to take 4.166 of $5,000 and add it so that that number, when you take 4% off, will take you to $5,000. Okay.
Sure, no problem. You got that. There'll be a test after this.
$5,000, right, times 4% is, what do we say, 200? Right, so $5,200, 200,
520.
yeah, right?
Yep.
Times 4% is,
A fraction.
somebody get their phone out, come on, hello. Get your phone out and do this one.
280.
280?
That's my answer.
280. 4%.
208.
280 bucks, there you go.
8, right. If I take 5,200 and subtract 208, I'm gonna get paid 4,092. I'm not gonna get paid $5,000. In order for this to come out to 5,000, this calculation needs to be 4.166. Does that make sense? None of you knew this?
I just thought the tax got taxed.
Can we get an example of where this applies, like when you would have to do this?
Just
Just a little confused.
Well, this is explaining to your
This is your
seller how much
GET.
money.
This
Yeah.
is how the GET is calculated on a final settlement statement for the seller. And the seller is going to see the commission,
4.166.
and he's going to go, how did you get to this commission amount? 4%. And so this reminds them it's calculated at 4.166. And it's, do you understand the idea here? We added it, right? If you add the 4% and then calculate 4%, that's $208. Now you would only get paid this. So in order for you to get paid your $5,000, the GET has to be added at 4.166.
So it's just a math
It's just a math
thing.
thing.
That's what I'm explaining.
It's just a
And
matter.
then if they need to, I'll take them down that.
Yeah, you don't need to. It's just a math thing. Number 2, sellers agree that the listing agent shall disclose to other agents the existence of an offer if one has been received. And you might also have the conversation now about, would you like me to disclose if it's an offer at asking price? or whether it's higher or lower. Now, what do you think they're going to say to you?
Why?
Why? Seller agrees that the listing agent shall disclose to, oh, I see, to other agents that another offer exists. So you want to know why? Let me ask you this. If you were making an offer on a property and somebody told you, nobody's looked at this property, there's no other offers coming, what are you going to do? Negotiate, right? You're going to come in lower than the asking price. If I tell you that I've shown the property 5 times in the last 2 days and I'm expecting another offer, what are you going to offer? Probably a higher price. If I tell you I already received another offer, what are you going to offer? Probably an even higher price. And if I tell you that I've already received an offer at list price, now what are you going to do? You're going to not guess, but you're going to come over list price if you're so inclined. My goal is to get you that over list price offer. I can most easily achieve that by telling people, yes, I have a full price offer. Some people will go like, not going there, I don't want to offer a full price offer. I don't want to go there, I don't think it's worth it, and you might lose them. Other people, if it's priced right, are going to go, let's offer $5,000 or $10,000 more, right? So it is in the seller's interest to disclose this information.
And
Okay?
you're just hoping that the listing agent that you're dealing, if you're dealing with a listing agent, that they're telling the truth.
I get this question at every listing class, and here's my answer. I don't go there. I have no choice.
But to believe.
I have no choice. We are all obligated to a code of ethics. And if you want to believe that there's a bunch of people out there who ignore the code of ethics and lie to us, I choose not to believe that. I also know from common lending laws that 95% of the people take a loan with the intention of always repaying it. People do not take loans with the intention of defaulting or cheating. The same is true in our community. You can apply the same kind of average. 95% of us are honest and are going to tell the truth, right? Do I know who that 5% is? I have no idea. So this happened to me recently. A house was on the market for months and we made an offer. And the listing agent says, just as we're making the offer, he goes, oh my God, I just got another offer half an hour ago. I said, oh my God. So we amended our offer, we submitted an addendum and said, we're coming up in price, right? And my client said to me, should we believe that? I go, absolutely. Absolutely, I have no choice, right? But to believe that. Now, you can ask for a copy, but that gets really tacky. That gets really, now you're saying to the guy, I don't believe you, show me, right? So it's, you want that kind of relationship. I prefer to believe them. So we buy the property, we get the escrow, which closes, everything's fine. About 6 months later, I'm at an open house at Caravan. And Tom Tezak, everybody know who Tom Tezak is? One of the big agents on island, right? Comes to me and says, hey, you sold that house on Miami Meadows. I was the one with the other offer.
Oh,
Lovely.
Just saying.
yep.
Just saying, right? You just have no way of knowing. So we have to absolutely assume we are being told the truth. Okay? We have no choice. You have no way of knowing.
If you have a skeptical buyer and the seller's agent says like, we have 2 other offers on the table, the buyer's like, oh, I know this game, they don't actually have 2 offers, would you just give them that script of,
If they're willing to, piss the seller off and piss the agent off by asking for proof, you can ask for proof. So you could call the listing agent and say, we'd like to put in another offer, but we'd like some evidence of the fact that you've received another offer. Could you send me the first page of your other offers? First page doesn't say anything, right? It doesn't give a price, nothing. Now you can say, yeah, well, somebody can go into the zip forms and just make out 2 offers, you know. If it's that deceptive, I mean, I've never heard of anything that severe, so.
Could you just pass along to broker and say, hey, could your broker just confirm with my broker that they've seen the other offer? And then
No,
we're
we don't
done?
get our brokers involved with stuff like that. You don't want to make the other agent go to their broker.
Got it.
Okay, so this is a good place to have that conversation. May I disclose what? The other thing that in another company, we used to have this here, and the brokers here decided not to do this, because we all agreed to these templates together, is it said, the reason that I may state as to why you're selling, colon, and we would type it in right here. When you sell a property, when you list a property and you show it, the buyer's agent and the buyers are gonna go, why are they selling? Everybody wants to know, why are they selling, right? And you need to decide what to say here. So I just did a listing out in Pueblo, these two fellows, and one of them was employed here. And he did not want his boss to know that he was selling his house and moving off island. And they were selling early on, and they were gonna live in it for a while after selling it. So there's another option, Angie. These people out in Pueblo sold their house. It sold very quickly. We didn't think it was gonna do that. And they negotiated to stay in it for 6 months before the new buyer took over. That was part of the deal. And it's another way to help a seller sell and then have enough time to find a replacement property. I'm just saying. So we put in here what it is I was to say, right? And so we agreed that we were saying they're kind of tired of living in Huelo and they want to have a change of pace. I wasn't lying. I didn't say anything, right? They're tired of living in Pueblo and they want a change of pace. And that worked fine. Nobody questioned it. People just assumed they were moving somewhere else on island. And so word did not get back to, this is a small community, to their boss with the fact that they were leaving. Yeah. All right. The next section at the bottom here is about the brokerage firm's obligation. The brokerage firm must make its best efforts and agrees to use its best efforts to achieve the sale of the listed property to a qualified buyer at the price and upon terms acceptable to the seller. And here is what we do. Here are the marketing things that we do. And believe it or not, your listing contract is a great conversation tool to have to cover all these little details in a listing presentation. So you say, I'm going to put a for sale sign on your property. I'm going to advertise the property for sale in the MLS, on the internet. I'm newspaper, not so much on radio or TV. Depends on the type of property. If I'm listing a $3 million property, yeah, I'm going to create a website for this property. And I will have a separate website for it, right? And I might do some print advertising in Homes and Land and that sort of thing, right? Because expensive properties, you're going to have to spend some money. Or any other means that are compliant with county, state, or federal laws. I'm going to prepare informational sheet, in other words, flyers and brochures about the property, and I'm going to hold brokers' opens, right? You acknowledge, Mr. Seller, and understand and agree that all means of advertising generated by us will enter the marketplace and will not ever be rescinded, right? It's about what goes onto the net stays on the net. We have no control over that. Communication, the brokerage firm agrees to keep you informed. So let me ask you something. Would you like to receive an email or a text from me? I would like to stay in touch with you at least once a week. If you prefer twice a week, I'm happy to do that as well. What would you like? So I have a listing now, and I know this listing is going to take a while. It's 2 parcels of land in Haiku. Every Friday, we send them an update, and a lot of updates are nothing new to report, nothing new to report, nothing new to report. And what is the value of being that honest and saying nothing new to report?
They know you're getting back to them with everything.
Communication,
that's happening.
absolutely. What else, Jeannie?
I was going to say that, you want to maintain the relationship so that they know that you're continuing to
Exactly.
service them.
But
gonna
after-
help you with pricing perhaps
If you
later
were-
on.
There you go, Patrick was about to say that. If you were a seller and after 4 times of getting these emails that saying nothing new to report, no showings, no showings, no showings, what do you think? Wouldn't you call up your agent and go, is it time to lower the price? What's going on? What should we do? Right? That's what you're trying to achieve. So by being honest and telling people nothing new to report or no showings this week or no calls, no inquiries, that's how you get price reductions, right? That's part of the process, yeah. On a land listing, land listings sometimes take 2 years, and this is a particularly unique parcel, 2 unique parcels of land. They own a lot of gulch, a whole gulch, in addition to some flat areas. They're stunning, but you gotta be a certain type of Maui person to want those. So they know that, and that's what they love about the land, and so they get it, and they're patient. I've let them know that, but we've gotten a price reduction, and if we don't, by the end of mid of February, if I don't have anything, I'm gonna ask for another price reduction. So communication, negotiating, brokerage firm agrees to assist seller in evaluating and negotiating offers. Escrow process, brokerage firm agrees to assist and guide seller to fulfill all seller's obligations and agreed to in the purchase contract. So I'm gonna take you through escrow and I'll guide you through every step of the way. That reminds me, by the way, is there an escrow company that you prefer? Is there any, I just wanna check in with you. And most people will say no, so. And then fair housing laws, and just, sometimes you need to make that clear. An example is, I was doing a listing presentation and somebody says to me, we just loved it here. We've lived here for 23 years, and we were part of this community when it was first built, and all of us are kind of friends, and we have, block party a couple times a year and whatnot. And so I kind of promised the neighbors that, we'd sell the property to another, kind of older couple, no little kids, because they really don't fit in here. It really isn't, there's no other little kids for kids to play with. So, I kind of promised them that.
Can't promise.
It was so sweet, right? It was so sweet. You just kind of go like, oh my God, I totally understand. And I can't do that. Now, let me explain. If you got 2 offers, you have a choice. As long as it isn't blatant as to why you chose, like a lower offer from a single, from a couple, and a higher offer from a family, and you choose to go with the lower offer, they could file a complaint,
How would they know though?
when it closes and, neighbors talk and people know and
Okay.
people find out, or people of color. I mean, it comes up in all sorts of, this is a